Hi, Mark here, trust you're well, and welcome to this legacy recording of a live Lightroom support community session that I hosted back in October 2022. Most Monday evenings I host this live support community on Zoom, where over 12 to 16 weeks we look at a theme, a narrative. That could be a module within Classic, it could be something about photography or workflow. The first hour of our time together is all about skills-based learning, and in this session, which was one of three, we looked at masking in Classic and Lightroom. The second hour of our time together is all about supporting you. Your questions. How can I do this? Does Classic and Lightroom do that? And sometimes even photography questions. Now, if you'd like to come and join us, just visit me at lightroommark.com. Lots of information there, from events to legacy recordings to articles, all about Lightroom and Lightroom Classic. So now you want to see the recording. So without any further ado, let's jump across to this recording. And again, it's a legacy recording of October 2022. Happy photography. Into my computer. Okay, so we're continuing on, and I'm going to again look at the masking tool, and I'm going to give you the last general settings or general tools in the masking tools. Okay, there are a lot more things that you can do with the masking tools, and we will add those as we go along. So we've looked at manually adding and subtracting with brushes, and we've looked at the radial, the lineal, the artificial intelligent subject selection and sky selection. So we've looked at that, and we've looked at changing the color of the overlay and things like that and so on. So, and that's all manual. Well, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to look at the range masks, or the addition of range masks. And what that does is, let's say you use a gradient filter, or you use a radial filter, or you paint on somewhere, and by color or by tonality, as in light, you can say in that area, do not apply it to either that color or apply it to that color, or do not apply it to that level of darkness or brightness. So in a sky, you might want to use a graduated filter or the artificial intelligence select sky, but you want to do something, but only to the bright parts of the sky. Yeah? Or you might only want to do something to the dark parts of the sky, or a particular color in something. Okay? So that's what we're going to look at tonight. So we're going to take one of the other images, and we're just going to build on like we've been doing, straightening and doing our bits and pieces, and then we'll look at doing some colors or darkness and so on. So there we go. Right, okay, so let's do that. Share screen, do that. Okay, so what image are we going to use tonight? I think we'll use, we'll try and use this image. So a lot of times I try to come in clean to an image, so I come into the same point of what you do. So I haven't practiced any of this or anything like that. So I'm going to hit D for the, make sure I'm on the right tool, hit D for the develop module, and I'm just going to go to my lens correction and turn on the lens correction so the lines are mainly straight. Am I happy with, is the image straight? It looks reasonably straight, but let's just hit auto. Yeah, it hasn't done anything, so that's all nice and straight. So then we're going to come to the basic panel. Now I have the profile for this camera, so I'm just going to turn the profile on. So Lightroom is processing so you can see the colors have got a lot lighter in the tender and the engine. So now I'm going to process this as I would normally process an image. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take up the exposure, just going to have a look to see if I've not captured anything under the darks, and then bring down the exposure. Now everything's captured there, so I'm just going to double click on the exposure name, and everything there is all in the tonal value, so I corrected it. Now if you hold the option key down, you get this reset tones and reset presents, so that resets all this here. All this. So now I'm going to push the mid-tones up, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more exposure for my taste, about a third of a stop, something like that. So this is a bit brighter here. I've got a little bit more information underneath the roof. Okay, I'm going to open up my shadows a tiny bit, and what I do a lot of the time, I take it all the way and go, whoa, that's a bit bright, and I bring it all the way back. So it gives me like the full whack. So then you can start bringing it back. So there we go, something like that. So there's my shadow. So I can now see all underneath the train, and see underneath here. Whether I want to keep it like that and process it like that, I don't know yet. I'm keeping my options open. Do the same with the highlights, bring the highlights down, a bit grey, highlights open, too much. So something like that. Okay. I'm going to look at my texture slider, just see sharpening it. So if you have a look at the tender here, if I zoom in a little bit here, and I'll just take the texture slider, which is the fine detail. Can you see how soft this is now? Yeah. Okay, and if I take it full up to 100, and it's it's really sharp and pinned, but it's too grungy, it's too sharp. So I'm just going to put a little bit of texture on there at the moment. So there's my basic settings. Next thing I'm going to do is use the spot healing tool, turn on vanishing dots. Okay, so there we go. We can start looking, and I'm going to zoom in at 200%. 200%, and just stick and now we can start seeing any dirt, any dust, any sensor spots, and then arrow down. So if you look at the navigation bar, top left-hand corner, when I press arrow down, the box jumps on one box. It doesn't miss any area. Okay, there's a sensor dust there. Okay, so I'm just pressing arrow down. Dot there, one there. Okay, so I'm just going through. And I do this on every single image, and then I will take off the sensor spot. So I'm now looking in color, and I'm looking for things like rubbish or a bird or something that I don't want in the shot. Remember, this is 200%. Okay, so there's a bit of bird crap on there, so let's just take that away. A bit more. There you go. Okay, nice and simple. Little bit of bird crap there. There we go, that's gone. Okay. And sometimes if you just do this, I'm just dancing between the two keys, you get to see things that you wouldn't see normally. So there we go. So that is an image, a basic image, straightened, cleaned up, and I've set my tolerances. It's like a chef. I've laid my knives out, I've laid my ingredients out on the floor. Now what do I do to it? Okay. Do you all have a go at that one? Okay, so everyone else had it done? Everyone happy with that? Anyone got any questions?
Mark, I'm having a bit of a problem with the spot removal because
okay,
I'm not used to the healer tool yet.
Yeah, fine, no problem. Do you want me to show you again?
Yeah, please. When I click on, I don't know if I've got the settings wrong or something. I click on the screen and I get like two circles with a line between.
Oh, good. So do I.
Yeah, okay.
You're not the only one, John.
So that is exactly the same as a radial filter. The inner circle is the area that the spot's on, or what you're removing. The outer circle is the gradation. It's the feather, and you can adjust that. You can adjust the small. You can have a small circle.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's when I click on the screen, then I get two separate circles with an arrow between them.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So do I, John.
Yeah. So there's clone and heal. Clone, it's taking another part of the computer, the picture, and it's going to stick it over the top.
Right.
Heal is it makes something up. It heals. The skin heals.
Yeah. I guess that was it. But
Yeah.
so where do I change that then? Because I've got
You've got two buttons. One will say
spot edit, clone and heal.
clone and heal. You click on clone and heal, and
Right.
one's
It's on
an
heal. Heal's lit up at the moment, but I'm still getting those two circles.
Okay, so let's have a look what you've got. Okay, so there's clone and heal. Okay, so click on clone, and then it'll just clone another part. Heal.
Yeah.
Right, give you. Right, and if you come down to the bottom left hand corner, you've got overlay.
Yeah.
Okay, so overlay is if I turn it on, always there's all my dots, and you're getting this. Yeah, is this what you're getting here?
I can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry.
I can see you.
Yeah, no apologies. Okay, so I've got clone and heal. I'm on heal at the moment, and down the bottom left hand corner you've got tool overlay.
Yeah.
Now, I always have mine when I do this switched off, and the reason why is I might, as you can see, if you look just above the lamppost, you can see I've got two dots very close to each other.
Yeah.
If I had that on, I would hit the one next to it. It's so close, I would interfere with the first one. So I have mine never on. Okay, all right, all right. But you can have it always on. You can have it selected, so it's just the one that I'm doing, and that will be the next one I used. I'll just show me the one I'm using. Okay, all right, and then never. And I normally have it never on.
Okay.
All right. Sometimes I will have selected. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got the size. So you've got these two circles. Yeah. This is the one with the white line, the thick white line. That's your dot. The one with the thin line is what you are. Let's get it right. Let's get it right. Always get it the wrong way around. Yeah. So the thick one is what is where it's coming from, because you can see there's an arrow, can't you? And that's where it's going to. And you can put and you can move it. So, I've got my finger in. So if I make it a bit bigger, I've got my cursor and it goes to a hand, and I can move it.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't do a very good job, and then I've got feather. Okay, so that's a gradient out. Then I've got opacity. So you might want it might be a part of a flower, and you want the texture of the petal to replicate. So you might want to turn the opacity down. Okay, so clone and heal. Clone is it copies. Heal, it will generate a new part of the image.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then the visible spots, you have this slider down there, and it's the intensity of it. And different images, sometimes you'll have it full whack like that, and sometimes you'll have it about 3/4 of the way. So you can see, and it's all about the lines in the image.
Yeah.
Okay. But the moral of the story is really, it's clean center every week.
So the only other question I've got now, I think that's helping a lot, is that I understand that now. So, but the other thing I've got now is when you were cursing around the screen.
Yeah.
Was that
arrow up and arrow down? So arrow up and arrow down.
Yeah, because I'm doing that. It doesn't seem to be. Okay.
So what is the size? And if you look at top left-hand corner in the navigation, you've got
I've got it up to 200%.
200%. So you should have a box, and then you'll have page up, page down. Page up and page down takes you to the start and the finish. Okay, and then you can scroll. It's like a jump down.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be working, but I'll play around with that later.
Your PC or Mac?
PC.
PC. So it might be. You might have the page up actually written on a key. You'll have to find out on your keyboard.
Yeah, I've got it's page up and page down. I suppose that will be using one of the function keys. Yeah. Because it's on the same as the up and down arrows.
Okay. Okay, so you just need to work it out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, function key.
Yeah, it might be function key, something like that. So
yeah. just pressing the function key and the down arrow, I'm getting it to go down like you did, so that's fine.
Yeah, okay. So that's why, you know, we get into habits. You know, I'm starting to use the Y key, David, for compare. Thank you. All right. So, you know, we get comfortable. We don't want to sit here. We want to go out and take photographs and so on, yeah, but we want to be proud of what we take and so we get comfortable with how we do things, and we change ways to well, I don't want to sit here. I want to be out in the field, sitting in my van with my laptop or my iPad, and I want to do a bit of the work then. It's like I've now I've got to do a video of this for YouTube, but I've known for a long time that your camera, most DSLRs and mirrorless cameras support ratings. So that's your stars, okay, 1 to star. And you can set in your camera 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stars. And I've known for a long time that Lightroom and Photo Mechanics and other software and Photoshop preserves that import. And I don't use stars. It's either a good image or a bad image. If it's a good image, I'm going to keep it. If it's a bad image, it gets binned, right? But let's paint you a scenario. I'm out deer hunting, or I'm out wildlife or whatever, and I've got 5 minutes just to do a bit of chimping, looking on the back of the screen. These photos. Oh, look at that one. That's a keeper. Well, I've now assigned one of my buttons on my camera to 1 star. I want to mark that image on the back of my camera with something. Cameras do not have flags. They do not have color labels, but they do have rating. And you can rate 1 to 5. Right? And I've assigned one button in playback mode that I just go, and it puts 1 star on that image. I've got a smart collection on import. Show me all my 1 star images. So immediately, I've either uploaded them from my phone, so from my camera to my phone, or my camera to my iPad, or my camera to my laptop into Lightroom, or I've imported them into Classic, and it's got 1 star against the image. Though I've now immediately identified those are the images that I want to look at straight away, because I've looked at them on the back of the camera and the little screen and gone, that's the best image out of all of them I've seen there. So I'm lying there on the belly in the middle of this field in Exmoor National Park, taking a picture with an 800mm lens with my Z9 of these deer at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, wait for the sun to come up. And I'm taking these pictures and I'm looking on the back of the screen with this hood over the top of me and so on. And I go, oh, look at that, all the breath coming out and his antlers and so on. And I hit the button, 1 star. I haven't got to hunt for that now. When I get into Lightroom Classic, I haven't got to hunt for it because I've starred it on the back of the camera and I've got a smart collection that's got put all my 1 star images in there. Bearing in mind, I don't use star rating. So I've immediately found all those images. Yeah. So the moral is there's all these tools. How do we use them? And is it applicable for me? All right. So we can start using these tools in different ways to speed up our workflow. Okay. Don't know why I got onto that subject, but there we go. Right. Okay. So we all there? Helen looks a bit confused.
I'm trying to navigate around the thing. I can't find that. My shift, my up and down thing is not doing it for me.
Big keyboard? Big keyboard?
I've only got a small. I've got mine's down the bottom.
Okay.
I haven't got an extended keyboard.
Okay. You have to have a play. It'll be on normal keyboard. You'll have to have a play. Use the function keys and so on. In the shared folder is Victoria Bampton Lightroom Queens keyboard shortcut PDF. Okay. Put it on your Kindle and your iPad and so on, etc. Or it's Control Command / and it brings it up as a splash panel on your computer. Sure, it's that. Let me just double check. It's under the help. Go to help and develop motion. It's command /. So if I turn the screen sharing on, I'll show you. Okay, so in any module, if you go up to help and down the bottom, it's got, in this case, develop module shortcuts, and there we go. So it's command and /, and it brings up this splash panel of the keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so it's difficult to print that out like that, but that PDF that I've given you, which is a free PDF, anyone can access it from Victoria's site. It's a freebie she gives away, so I haven't done anything wrong. Although I would very much suggest
take a photograph of it and then print it off on screen.
I've given you the PDF. I would very much suggest, I know some of you have already got them, but for people that haven't, Victoria Bampton's books. So this is the classic book. So Mrs. FAQ, this is all about Lightroom Classic. This is Lightroom, Edit Like a Pro. It's about 50 quid for the set, and you get access when you buy either the electronic version, which is about 30 quid, or the printed version, which is about 50 quid for the pair. You get access to her community, which is she charges £10 a year after the first year. And if you buy new books, you can continue on. You add and buy another set of books when they get reprinted, which I always do. She adds another year if you buy the books. You can buy it with or without the extra year. But yeah, you can just type a question and answer it, and they're really, really helpful. And I occasionally dip in and ask a question. There might be something that I don't know or whatever, or is this happening for other people? And I find a bug or whatever, or it's playing up, or Lightroom's playing up, and I'll ask them. And I've got Victoria's mobile and so on, etc. So I can just say, Victoria, I've got this bug, and she'll look at it straight away. Or I had, when Nikon bought out the Z series cameras with some lenses, and I said, could you just try opening this file for me? And she's brilliant. She said, yeah, I get the same thing. So it's obviously a bug. And it was a bug in Lightroom, and it was a bug in Photoshop. And Adobe sorted it, but well worth it. So Christmas card list, Christmas list, Victoria Bampton, Lightroom Queen, 2 books. If you buy the hard copy of these, you get the electronic ones as well. So it goes on your Kindle, etc., which are very good. So you find in the PDF or on the Kindle, you go Command F and you type something in, it finds it, and you go, oh, that's page 37. And then you get the book and go to page 37. Okay. So they do have their place, but David Dunno's got a copy and so on. So and I think Bobby's got them, but well worth it. She's really good. She's based on the Isle of Wight. Her and her partner Paul run them all and so on. They run this community with paid people and volunteers and so on. Anyway, right. So we've edited the image.
I still can't see, even on that shortcut, so I can't see the going up and down shifting thingy. I can't see what I'm looking for.
So you should just press the arrow up and down. It might be on what keyboard you got?
I've just got a iMac keyboard. I've got left, right, up and down. I've got it on the keyboard.
Is there page up and page down?
Yeah.
So try page up and page down. You are clicked on Lightroom. Lightroom is active.
Yes.
And have you zoomed into the image? It's not 100%. It's 200%.
Are you using a MacBook, Helen?
No, I'm using an iMac.
Have you got a function key with like a little world globe on it? Just says FN, and then you've got like a little world globe.
I see. The F keys.
Yeah, if you try that and then the up and down arrows.
But you need to be zoomed in at more than...
Yeah, I'm zoomed in.
Right.
But I can't. I've got right, left. I've got... it's not...
Don't know, darling. You'll have to play with the control and the function and and arrows up. It probably says page up on your on a key somewhere in the bottom corner of a key. iMac small keyboard page.
Get rid of me shortcuts now.
Right, press function bottom left hand corner. Okay, and then the arrow up and down bottom right hand corner. Function bottom left.
Function.
Function bottom left hand corner.
FN.
Yeah, that's function.
I see.
Right, hold that down and then press arrow up and down.
I see. Sorry.
Google's really good if you just ask it a question. It answers back with the right answer. It's really because it can't be male. It can't be male or female. It's got to be. What's it?
I can't get rid of the developed shortcuts picture now.
Click on it.
Oh. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so function arrow up and down. That'll do that. Okay, got that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So there we go. We all learned something today. Right. Okay. So let's get cracking on.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the image. So now I've tidied it up. I've given. I'm now a chef. I've got my knife and forks. I've got my ingredients. They're all laid out on the table. What am I going to do? Okay. So I'm going to go right click and I'm going to. Anyone?
Virtual copy.
Create a virtual copy. So
Yeah.
I'm not. So there's my original. There's my virtual copy. So I've got a clean image. What I'm going to do to it. Okay. Right. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm just going to have a little play. I'm just going to sit there and go right. Okay. So let's bring down the highlights. Let's look at the sky to start with. Okay. So I'm going to go select sky. Okay. And what should I do first thing when I've selected the sky?
Name it.
Name it. Brilliant.
Name it.
Yeah, sky. So you know where it is. Okay. So, but we can now we can start seeing areas the sky has missed. So it's missed the top of the roof here. So we just need to tidy it up a little bit.
Right.
Okay. So we go sky, add brush, smallish brush, and I just want to paint on here, and it's where the cross is. Right. I found a little trick for you, Helen, Joan.
Go on then.
If you press the space bar and hold it, it allows you to zoom in.
Ah.
Okay. You were asking me last week. See, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, you press and hold. Right. So now I'm adding. Right. But this is on the roof. Okay. So I'm doing the sky. I should be subtracting. I shouldn't be adding. Right. So let's delete that bit and subtract. So I want brush, subtract. So I want to subtract. Okay. I'm taking that away. All right. Okay. So I'm just trying. Right. And you can do this by clicking on the mask. You can change. There it is. It's that one there. So you see you got your show overlay, and that's the color. So you click on the black, that's the color. Okay. If you click on the dots, you can actually make the image black and white. Okay. And sometimes you might want to do that. Okay. That might be easier for you. Okay. Or you click on the dots. Right. Right. So there's lots of things you can do. Let's try this again. I don't like that. Delete sky. Bring that back in. Select sky. Rename it. Hopefully we're all doing this together. Okay. And actually this time, have a look. This done a little better. So I want to subtract with my brush. I want to subtract this. Okay. Right, and if I turn on auto mask, anything the same texture, and I'm just removing this black bit. Okay. All right. And as long as I don't go over, all right, and I could make the brush a bit bigger. Okay. And I'm just going over, as long as I don't go over, a little minus, as I've gone over there. All right. To change the color of the overlay. All right. There we go, that's a bit better for me. All right. Show, not too bad, I'll do. Okay. All right, so there's my mask. Okay. Now, what you can do is there's what they call intersect. Okay, I'm holding the Option key down in my case, so that will probably be Alt in your case. Okay. And it brings up the intersect. On a PC, it should be Alt. And I want a luminance mask. Okay. Now, what a luminance mask is it's a light value. And the bottom left-hand corner is 0. The top right-hand corner is 100. So I don't want it to affect the light parts, or is it the dark parts? You see it's light up here. So whatever I'm going to do to this mask, I don't want it to affect the light parts, okay? Or I don't want it to affect the dark parts, okay? And there's a refine tool in here. This little arrow at the bottom, that's the refine. So it's fine detail, and this is the tonal range. So now if I bring down, all right, I hover up, show the overlay, okay. See, you can see this is the light. Can you see my pipette? These are the light bits of the sky. Okay. All right. And it's going to ignore the light parts of the sky. All right. So I'm just doing it in this tonal value. Okay. So whatever I'm going to do, bring down the histogram, it's going to ignore. See, look, it's ignoring these light bits of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
See these light bits here? Okay. And I can finally just see. So it's just now, I might want to just increase, right? But it could be, I might not be playing with light. I might be playing with clarity. I want to make them more pop. I might want to make them a bit brighter, change the white balance. Okay. Right. But I don't want to do it these light bits. I only want to do it to the dark bits of the sky. Increase the contrast. Right, makes the blacks blacker. Okay, see, look, it hasn't done it. It's only doing it to the clouds. Yeah, it's not doing it to the blue sky. And you can use the pipette and it will take out that part. See? All right. Now I can play with the temperature slider, take a bit of the blue away. Let's put some dehaze in, bring down the saturation so it makes it a little bit more blacky whitey color. Okay. We could put some right, and it's all choice. It's all, but it's about giving you the tools. All right, so now where it was, I come down to the bottom of the panel. There's a little toggle switch. Turn it off, turn it on. You know, you can see I've got all this information back now in the highlights, and I'm only affecting the black bits. Click back. And you can see if I turn the mask on, right, that's what's being affected. The other bits aren't being affected. And I've put a luminance mask on there. So it's only affecting particular colors, particular values of light. And you can adjust, there we go. That's what's being adjusted. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Really, really powerful. Okay. Especially when you start doing things like, so I'll add a new brush, can add a brush now, and I'm just going to, let's have a look. Okay, so I want to make these trees. Okay, so I'm just going to paint, paint on the trees, show my mask. Mask is on. Right, I'm just painting on the trees. Okay, I've gone over a little bit, so let's just subtract, brush, bring the brush down, just tidy it up a little bit down the bottom, a little bit up at the top. But you can see there's a difference in value of light. Okay, so let's turn my flow up. So it's applying it a little bit. Okay, so now I want to press my option. I'm going to put an intersect mask on, and I'm going to put a luminance mask on, but I only want to affect the dark parts of the image. So I'm going to click here, and there's the dark parts of the image. Okay, right, so I'm only going to affect the dark parts. So I'm going to open up. All right, I'm opening up the exposures, so I'm making them lighter. Okay, but I might want to increase it. There we go. So now I've made this part brighter. Okay.
Can you go back onto the bit where you click to pick out the dark bits?
Okay, so what we do is let's just delete it. And I'm only just, it's not a brilliant example, but I'm just showing you. So you go select the brush.
Oh, shit.
Okay, and I'm just drawing on the tree. Okay, let's bring the mask out. So I'm just drawing on here. Show me overlay. Right. So now I'm just going, because I've got auto mask on, I'm not going right to the edge. You can see it's just snapping to the corners. Okay. All right, so there we go. So now I'm going to press the Option key. It's probably Alt key on yours. And I've got this intersect. Okay. So now I'm going to ask it to look at a luminance range. So it's a value of light. Then I'm going to select my value of light. So I'm going to turn my overlay off. So that should disappear. And I'll say that value of light. And there's my value of light. This is the dark. This is dark. And I might say, just those darks on this mask, I want to increase in exposure. And it's only increased the dark parts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I could click again, intersect, color range. Now I'm going to choose a color, and I'm going to make that color now more saturated, more brighter. Okay. Bring up the highlights of that color. Okay, so now it's got really saturated in color here. It's quite gross.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've increased the saturation of the color. All right? I could desaturate that color. Okay, I could make that color darker. See? It's only the color that's gone darker, not the tonal value. Okay, so it's the same here. What I could do is I could go brush, and on this yellow. Okay, let's turn the overlay on. Let's go overlay to black. Okay, all right, so there we go. So just some quickness. All right, now I want to affect only the yellow. So I'll go color range, turn the overlay off, click on the yellow. Okay, and this will now only affect the yellow. All right, so now I'm adding, you can see I've made this red. Okay, and I can refine the color. Okay, there's my color range. That yellow, it's only doing it on that particular pigment, and I can make that yellow brighter. So I'm making it really, really bright now. I can make it really, really dark. Okay, in that mask. So you can start altering colors. All right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, what we will do in a few weeks' time is what we'll do is we'll look at an intersect. So when the sky comes over the trees, and there's parts of that tree line there was quite uniform, but when you got trees go up and down, and you can look through the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when you start to use it. So you might have a mask for the tree, but a mask for the sky, and you want to refine that to let's say brighten up the trees, but not the sky. And you don't want to sit there and sit there for 5 hours going in every little dot in the sky, where you could now put a luminance mask on and say, on that mask, only apply to the light parts of the image, which is the holes through the trees of the sky.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do that in a few weeks. We'll let this sink in what you're being exposed
2
to.
weeks. I need 2 months.
Very optimistic, Mark.
Yeah.
Just build and build and build. Yeah. That's all it is building and building and building. So let's all have a quick go at an edit of this image, okay?
Us now.
So I've taken it back. Let's all have a quick go at a quick edit. Now remember, you can move this mask panel. I've put it in this panel on the left-hand side. You can put it up the side. You can dock it there. You can hit the little triangles. It hides it to the list view. And this is the full view. Okay. So let's, so I'm going to use a gradient filter, linear gradient filter, bring that down. Okay. I'm going to show my mask, see where that's coming. Okay. That's not too bad. Okay. I'm now going to open up exposure. I'm going to bring down highlights. Here's my white balance.
It's going to rain. Rainy day, that was. Everyone follow that. It's really fast.
Just playing. This is the great thing about virtual copies. You can just play, and you can come back to it 10 days later and
Start again.
go, "Oh, that's rubbish. Delete." And there's no right or wrong answer.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just giving you the tools to do this, do that. But also, when you're out photographing, you now know what you can do in Lightroom and Photoshop and other apps.
Yeah.
So you take the picture accordingly, knowing that, well, actually, I could dodge and burn here. I can do a bit of this and do a bit of that. And I've got this image in my mind with these ingredients. Just like a chef is, I've got these ingredients that are left over. What can I make with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love practice.
That's it. 10 minutes every day. Okay. So I'll share our work. So that's the original image. That's what we played around with. Okay. So if I put two side by side, there we go. Okay, you can see now the emphasis, because I lightened up the train, the actual engine. Look at the emphasis. The emphasis is drawn more to the train now. And we've got a bit of dynamic and a bit of colour in the sky, a bit red. Might not like it, don't know. But the eye, the image on the left, where's your eye looking? We don't know. But because I've darkened the rest of the image, my eye is immediately drawn to the train because it's lighter. I've darkened the foreground by adding a linear filter. Okay, I've messed around with the sky a little bit. Okay, but the eye is drawn immediately to the train. Where in this image, the original image, the eye gets lost. What am I looking at? Am I looking at this tender? Am I looking at the lamppost? Am I looking at the water, whatever it's called, bucket? Yeah. But this image, the one on the right, the eye is drawn immediately to the train because it's lighter. Yeah. And then I did a bit of fun. I did a black and white. Okay. So the eye is not quite drawn so much to the image of the train, but we've got a bit of dynamic sky and so on. And then I did a bit of just mess with the color in the sky. So you got a cross image. A bit of black and white and a bit of colour. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's do you like cheese with your beans on toast, or don't you like cheese? Do you like a bit of bourbon with them, or curry or whatever? It's your own personal choice, but it just gives you so many options and giving you the tools to play and being controversial, pushing your images this way or that way. Yeah, allows you to be more creative. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So next week we're going to look at the tone curve. All right.
What? Sorry.
Tone curve.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to look at we'll look at the exposure. So explaining to them the week after we'll look at the color channels. Okay. And I'm going to refresh my memory, get my head round. There are things that tone curve will do on its own that won't affect the basic panel. I've got to refresh my memory how, because a lot of times you process an image just by looking at it. Or I want that to be a bit blacker. I want that to be a bit brighter. I want that to be a bit red, and you just adjust it. So you learn the tools to do that, and then you disregard the reasons why, because you're not interested in the reasons why. You just want to make a nice looking image. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
Yeah. So when you do all these alterations, you're doing them as virtual copies. So once you've done that image and you're happy with that, what do you then do to save that image? Or like when you want to sort of upload it, do you just...
Okay, well, everything in Lightroom, so I'll show you. There's no such thing as save. Okay, in Lightroom. Every time you do something, it adds a line to the database.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'll show you that in the library panel. sorry, the history panel. So we'll take this D. Okay, so if I go to the history panel, see here. So now if I want to take my filter here, and then I'm going to bring the blacks down, and you see,
Yeah,
the line there. So this is now this is a raw file. It's a DNG file. Okay, if I want to just go add new mask, and I'm just going to go show the overlay in white. And it'll do, just brighten it a bit. Okay, so again, you see a line here.
mm-hmm.
So this is a raw file. So now you need to export it. Okay, we need to take it out of Lightroom, but we need to put it into a format that that other programs on the web and email can see. Okay, so it doesn't understand a DNG, the raw file. So we have to get File, Export, and this is your export dialog. So this is all within the library module. Okay, so now we have to put it onto our hard drive somewhere. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we look at location. So let's say we're going to put it on the desktop in a temporary folder. Okay. There's other settings that we can do here. We might want to rename it. So we can turn the renaming off on export. Is it a video? We can ask it to do things as a video file. File settings. So it's going to be a JPEG, or it could be a PST, TIFF file, PNG, DNG, PNG, or the original file. So we're going to do it as a JPEG, so the other browsers and emails can see it. The color space. This Lightroom uses what they call Pro Photo, which is the widest amount of information in the available space for color. But a web browser and Word and other things can't understand that. And there's an industry standard called sRGB. So Lightroom will convert it to a JPEG in sRGB and as 100% maximum quality. You can limit the file size to, let's say, 1 megabyte. So it'll make a file at 1 megabyte. Okay. And then you can actually limit the size of the file. So we can make it 1500 pixels wide by 1000 pixels wide at 72 dots per inch, which is the web. That's a website. So I'm not going to send them the whole massive, great big file, right? Because this might be a 100 meg file by the time I finish editing it. I want to send a smaller version. And then when I send it, I want to sharpen, I want to crisp up the edges a little bit. And do I want to include my metadata? So all my information, my IPT and so on, I can remove it if I want. Do I want to add a watermark to it? Okay, so I can add a watermark to it. And then when it's done all this, what do I want it to do? Okay, so I'm going to say show in Finder, or I can say open in another application. So it's going to give me a preview. So just go hit export, it does it all for me. So we're exporting it. Just minimize that for a minute. It's going to put it in there, and there's the file. And there it is. There's the picture, and there's the second picture. I had two highlights at the same time. And that's now, there's the logo, bottom right-hand corner. Can't quite see it. Right, and that's it. Now that I go right-click, can't do it that way, so exported, temporary, there we go. There's the first file, there's the second file. I can now double click on it, email it, whatever I want to do. Now there is within Lightroom, don't know if I've got it set up on this one, email photo. So you click on it and it will do it all for you. There we go. You now type the email address in there. Yes, I have got it set up. So I could send this to you, Joan, as an email. There's your email address, the subject line. I could put all my text in here. Okay. I can set a preset, export preset. Okay. Press send and it emails it from Lightroom.
Okay.
All right. So you don't have to put it into Gmail or whatever. And so it does it all in Lightroom. All right. So, but you have to do a little setup. And if you want to do that, I'll help you set it up on an evening. Okay. However, Gmail now have stopped third-party applications accessing their Gmail accounts. So you have to, I think Yahoo may still do it. Another, I've got my own mail server, so I can do mine no problem at all. You just go right-click email, type your emails in. You can have your address book in there, everything, and you can just email people the pictures. And it's just like sending a normal email, but rather than exporting it, then going to Outlook, attaching it, and so on, you're doing it all from Lightroom. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anyone got any other questions?
No, thanks.
David's eating his cake, I think.
I got one more. Sorry.
Oh, go on, Jane.
So, you know, all these images that you've shared with us tonight.
Yeah.
Is there a way of reorganizing them? So, say, for example, I tend to, when I go on holiday, like I'll photograph all the rooms that I stay in.
Mm-hmm.
But I might not do them in the order of like walking through the door. Here's the front room. There's this room. So is there a way then of once you've taken them, you can sort of like, right, here's the front door. Here's where it leads off to.
Yeah, you can do a custom order. So why should you want to order?
Look, I'm sad.
Okay, so in the library module, okay, so we have so down the bottom, we've got sort. Okay, sort by capture time, sort by added order, edited time, edit count, so how many times you've edited, rating, pick, text label, color label, file name, extension, file type, aspect ratio, or custom order. Go custom order, and I can now put that one there.
Right, that's what I was looking for.
I can put that one there. Okay,
lovely.
They still stay in the folder, but they go into a way. But what I would do, and you're not doing that permanently, right? You set it back to custom time. He says, it's interesting. Okay, all right. What I would do is I would put them because at the moment I'm in the folder. I would leave them in the time you shot them, and then so. Right, so I've now created a collection. They're in the collection, and now do a custom order in a collection.
Yeah.
Right, and the reason why is that you've got them in the original format in your folder structure.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the way they were taken and shot and so on. So if you ever need to go back to look at what time were they, etc., you go back to your folders, but you can mess around and put them in whatever you're in here. But if you want to create another collection, all you do is you go create a collection. Okay, so collection 2. All right, just what happened there? Collection 2. Okay, so I've created collection 2. Okay, I then go back to the folder, which is there. Okay, and I can create another collection. All right, so there it is there. So I'm not doing anything permanent. I can always backtrack on my mistakes.
Yeah, lovely.
Which is another reason why you work in collections and not folders. Right, you change something in a folder, you're doing it permanent. Where in a collection, you can always jump back to the beginning. You can delete a collection. You're not deleting the images, you're just deleting the collection and the images in the collection. So to give you an example, you've got a photo album with the photos in it. You can burn that photo album because you've still got the negatives under the bed in the box, and you can get another set of prints.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone all right with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Oh, lovely to see you. See you next week.
And you take care.
Thank you. No, everyone, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.